And welcome to the latest episode of Greifenhorst, which is my medieval fantasy let's play in heavily modded Minecraft. And in the previous couple episodes, we were working at getting our storage system started. It's not completed, but it's the core of it is there. It works. So today we will put some stuff in storage, but really that's not the focus this time because there's a lot of stuff to do. And now that we have storage, and now that I have a bazillion blocks of deepslate, we kind of need to start thinking back about the surface, right? So I want to clear some space up top so we can start growing stuff. That's those spaces are temporary places to grow stuff while we level the land and prepare to start building the castle. But coast is clear. But with that said, now that we have a advanced enchantment infuser, we can create some tools that'll make the job a whole lot easier than it has been up to this point. Even with Ars Nouveau spells allowing us to break rocks quickly, we can put everything on a fast track. And I already have a pick that I've done some of that work with, right? So we'll bump up the efficiency. 5's too much. We'll do the fortune. We'll do the unbreaking. And we'll do the rest later, but that pick will eat through stone like nobody's business. But what I'd like to do is make the shovel equivalent, because the pick doesn't work on dirt, not with the efficiency enchantment, and we want to do the same thing with dirt that we can do with stone. So I mean, that's the basics. I'll take soulbound off. I need the mending for sure. Ooh. Okay. We'll just do it like this. And then we'll come back and put mending on it later, because it's going to take a beating, I suspect, and we'll want to put it back together. So part of what we can do to help with the enchantments, where's my knife? Yeah, this will start getting cleaned up here, but there's a knife. Now that we have storage, we'll start fixing this. Ow, ow, ow. Okay, we've got this, that's not what I meant to do. We've got this land that is ready for tilling. So this will help me grow flax really fast, which is good because it's got wool. We don't need sheep. And of course, not only does it give us wool, it gives us straw, which is one of the components of our compost blocks that then turn into the farmland blocks and blah, 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 blah. I've told it to you all before. Onions. And I think I probably have enough onions, so all of this can go into the composter. So let's see, onions. 35 went in because, yeah, I already have 64. Okay, that makes sense. So I have a lot of stuff to drop in here. We'll keep the straw and the flax because that's immediately useful. I need a lot more straw though. Okay. The basics the basics are done. Now that I got these experience levels though, I can probably put mending back on the shovel. And some other stuff, right? Don't need fortune. Soulbound would be good. Unbreaking. Can I... Huh? No, too much. Okay, so Unbreaking 2 is good. I don't need Silk Touch. There's nothing fortunate about a shovel. Okay. So I think we're good. We can add some stone types that we can put in storage since we've made some space available. Kind of picking the classic core vanilla stones at the moment. Okay. So ever since we got rid of Distant Horizons, I haven't had any falling accidents, even on scaffolding. So looking back, in hindsight, it was a good decision. Still a sad one. I really love the views of Distant Horizons, but it is what it is. I mean, just like I really love going to the airport and not having to go through security, but you know, it hasn't been that way for years and years and years. So, and it is what it is. I think I would much rather have airport security and not, you know, being in a hijacked plane than not. You know what I didn't realize? Is if you look at the if you look up the number of hijackings in the 60s, there was like over there was hijackings practically every month. It happened all the time. I'm really surprised. I'm surprised that we didn't kind of get to the airport security systems we have now much sooner. It's just amazing. Anyway, it's 1,000 years ago. Oh, it's Blackstone. I haven't put any place for Blackstone yet. There we go. Scoria. Okay, it cleans things up a little bit. Oh, I got some stone bricks can go away. Okay. Getting this cleaned up bit by bit, piece by piece. We're going to be doing some work on the surface. I'm hoping to lay down some wall foundation a bit, or outline at least. So we'll need some deep slate cobble for that. That's probably way more than I need, but I got it. And I will need... I don't want to use my pick because it's got excavate on it, so I'm going to have to back up a little bit and break it with a spell. Okay. I think that's it for now. Let's go do some terraforming in the new paradigm. So I think I talked a little bit about it before, where, you know, in vanilla Minecraft, better and better tools give you better and better performance when harvesting resources. And then with Ars Nouveau, that actually gives me better performance than the tools. But now with the enchantment infuser and some of the enchantments from some of the mods, I can create tools that are even more efficient and effective than Ars Nouveau. And that's what we did today with the excavate enchantment. Instead of mining a single block at a time, I mine a 3x3 grid at a time. You know what, these there's some work to be done up here too. We'll get things going. We're at a point now where farming can really help accelerate our production across the board on a number of different things. Okay, making sure this is the outline of what will be the castle wall. So we need more area down there. Okay. Ouch. Okay, let's put this shovel to the test. Look at that. That is fast. Oh boy, we're going to have a ton of snowballs. A ton. So at this rate, my inventory and my backpack are going to fill rapidly, and it's looking like half of them will be snowballs. Oh. That works. Oh, inventory's already full. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. And inventory's full again. What can you do with snowballs anyway? I can pack them into blocks of snow. I can make normal stuff that's winterized. And I can make a snowman. I could have swore that some of the food mods I had would make me, or let me make ice cream or something. That's not what I want. So, okay, I really have no... I do have a purpose for my shovel. I really have no purpose for the other stuff, like snowballs. So, let's just get rid of them. There's somebody out in the forest right now getting pummeled with random snowballs from the sky, and they have no idea why. Sorry about keep bringing up my waypoint UI. I've been playing Enshrouded, and B is the key to bring up your inventory in that game, in your backpack at least. And B is the key in modded Minecraft to bring up the waypoint screen for journey map. So that's why that keeps happening. There we go. Oh my gosh. I have the same problem when I go to Satisfactory, because the inventory is the tab key, and it just, slowly but surely I get used to it again. So by 5 to 10 minutes more in this episode, I'll be good. Of course, then we're like, close to halfway through, and it's like, So this is going great, right? We're making fantastic progress. Now, I do want to expand the storage there considerably. We're just we just got a lot of different stuff to do, and we were working on storage exclusively for a while, so wanted to take a break from that, get outside, get some fresh air. As I record this, it is summer in the northern hemisphere in real life, and as you can tell by the snow oh my, I didn't know this was here. Could have been worse, I think. Anyway, in game, I'm gonna fill this up real fast. Let's see. Yeah, I got dirt. Just hope I have a dirt. There we go. In game, you remember I used Serene Seasons to, add seasons to this world, and I love it. But they had made a change, which kind of screwed up the way I had things set up. So I updated everything, so it's back to working like normal. But that reset my calendar, so we're back to the beginning of the Serene Seasons year, which is early spring, which is why we have the snow. It does melt slowly, but then again, we'll get a snowstorm and it'll just add it all again. It won't be there all year. Trying to figure this out here. Sweet. Oh my gosh. Let's fire photons at these. I'm getting tired of getting poked. That'll learn them. We will, we have a lot of source berries, so there is a time in the very near future where we will work at producing source, not source berries, so that's what we'll do as well, but producing actual source. And source is the energy, the mystical energy that lets us create automation in Ars Nouveau, so that's going to be important stuff. Things like spell turrets and various production aids, automated farming. It's all there. And so's all the dirt I just dug up. So let's see. Now we're clearing out all this space because we're going to build a castle, and we're going to build a town around the castle because that's often historically how things work, and I'm really looking forward to that. One of the things I like about Minecraft, particularly modded Minecraft, but even vanilla Minecraft, is that the basic concepts of the castle and the various parts of the castle still hold true in the actual game mechanics. In other words, if you build your little castle in using the same type of architecture and architectural designs and defensive designs like in real castles, your Minecraft castle will function for the most part exactly like a real castle. So when you kick off a pillager raid, then you will be able to use the defensive elements of your castle to defend against the pillagers to the same effect. So some basic examples of that is you can up on the top of the wall you have the battlements, right? I think they're called I don't know. But basically, when you look at the top of a castle, along the wall, you kind of have this, these regular blocky appearance, right, along the top. And the idea behind that is from the top of the wall, you have low parts of the wall where you can step out and, pop arrows at whoever is down below. And if they decide to shoot back, typically they do, you can sidestep behind one of those little stone squares and be relatively safe, right? So that works. That's how they worked in real life. That's how they work in Minecraft. Some of my favorite examples are murder holes, right? Now, murder hole sounds pretty harsh, but that's what it's called. And if you had something like a gatehouse, right? So a gatehouse is basically a fortification set into the wall where you have a gate. So, you have a castle, it has walls, and it has towers, but you got to get into the castle somehow, so you got to build a gate. Well, that's a weak spot. So the gatehouse is designed to protect that weak spot, right? And typically gatehouses are kind of like really beefy towers with a gate running through them. But one of the interesting things is that with a gatehouse, typically what you would have is the gate is a tunnel, right? That kind of goes through the gatehouse. And typically you would have a big door or portcullis at the front of it, and a big door or portcullis at the end of it. So if everything's going fine, nobody's in there, and you can shoot at people on the walls or something. But if you have determined attackers, they may get through that first gate. So now they're in the gatehouse, but they're in that tunnel, and you have control of the space above and to the sides of it. And the murder holes are usually in the ceiling, so you're in your gatehouse looking through the holes in the floor at the guys who busted through your first gate, but they're not into the second gate, and you have a clear shot on their head. Now, you could shoot arrows at them, and that's what you would do in Minecraft, right? You'd shoot arrows or cast spells or something like that. But historically, they could do even nastier stuff, right? They could take a boiling oil, right? So you basically imagine, like a 500-gallon deep fryer, and you could basically just tip that over and let it pour through the holes onto the guys below, and that's just going to basically, scald the living snot out of them. But you can take it a step further, right? Because once everybody's all lubed up with the oil, you can just drop a torch in there, and badness would ensue. And if you built your gatehouse properly, so it's all stone, that's not going to bother you if everything's on fire down there. Anyhow, these are the types of design things that happened in real life that work well in Minecraft. And there's some other aspects to it too that unfortunately or fortunately, depending on your point of view, the pillagers aren't all that persistent, right? If you shut the door, they'll blow through a wooden door, but other than that, that's not, they're not going to try to lay siege to the walls or try to tunnel in or any of that stuff. So you don't have to worry. Did I just miss it? Yep, I just missed it. Okay. You don't have to worry about all that stuff, but it still looks good when we're talking about like castle design. So you have like one of the classic things you see in castles are concentric defenses, right? Concentric means kind of like nested. So you have the outer wall, and if they breach that, well, then there's another layer of defense, and if they breach that, there's another layer of defense. And it's you could build those things, and that's what makes Minecraft castles look like real castles, because even though we don't need that level of defense, that's historically how castles were built. So if we replicate it, it'll look like a real castle. Now, of course, a lot of castles, when you say castle, a lot of people have different pictures in their mind. It could be everything from like a Viking Iron Age fort all the way up to, Neuschwanstein, which is a fairy tale type castle. It's the fairy tale type castle, but it was built in the 19th century, right? That thing was never designed, nor did it see any type of like warfare or siege. And quite frankly, as far as a true functional defensive castle, it's not that great, right? But different ball of wax. If I'm gonna move my shovel to my offhand, I'm gonna get rid of the stone tool. Now what's gonna happen is when I harvest with the shovel having mending, this should mostly or completely repair my shovel. I don't know how that happened. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, and there's a lot of actual castles that were set up for and maybe even saw combat, but then when the nature of combat changed, the owners of the castle said, well, we no longer need to live in this big stone drafty area. We can start adding nicer stuff. And eventually there's a lot of castles out there today that they were the old-fashioned, King Arthur siege type castles in the past, but not anymore. They're mansions and palaces. One of those is, if you ever saw Downton Abbey, right? The Downton Abbey, the building is actually Highclere Castle in Berkshire, UK. And once upon a time, I believe Highclere Castle was a castle, but obviously it doesn't look like a castle anymore. And over time, they kept making changes and tearing down stone walls and adding, more comfortable lodgings until, now you have Highclere Castle, and it is castle in name only. And then, in southern Wales, they have a lot of great castles, and some of them, like Caerphilly and Chepstow, those were hardcore working castles, and they still look the part today. But there were some other castles that were either modified or built to be castle-ish, but were never intended to be real castles. So Cardiff Castle is an example, right? And if you go to Cardiff Castle, in the back side of it, they have the original castle, which was a little motte and bailey it was a tiny little hill with a tiny little tower on it, surrounded by earthen embankment, right? And that was the original Cardiff Castle. Now, it's still there, but the current Cardiff Castle was built in the 19th century by a guy with a lot of money who read a lot of Sir Arthur. I can't remember his first name, but he read a lot of Scott, right? Sir Arthur Scott? No. Sir William Scott? No. James? I don't know. The guy who wrote Ivanhoe and all those novels, right? He really romanticized the whole period of chivalry. And for a lot of 19th century folks, that was pretty intoxicating stuff, right? They lived in a country that had this rich history, and it had been romanticized a bit away from reality. They wanted to recreate that romance and that flair, and so that's how you had those big, ostentatious pseudo castles built. In a similar vein, in the U.S., we're not immune to that. So, if you ever saw the movie Citizen Kane, right, where Mr. Kane is a big newspaper guy, and then eventually, I think he was like a movie producer or something, and he built that huge, I think he called it Xanadu, his huge estate that was crazy, over the top, lush. And, that's a similar type of thing. Now, that's an interesting one because that movie, Citizen Kane, is based on a real guy, right? And a real place, in fact. So, and he was alive when they made this movie, which, it's like, hey, are they making a movie about me? Yeah, they are. So, William Randolph Hearst, right? He was a big newspaper guy in the 19th century and into the 20th century, and he built this really fantastic and lush estate up in the coastal hills of Northern California. What is it? San Simeon, California, and the estate is called Hearst Castle. Because, exactly what they had at Cardiff, that's kind of what he did. Except the difference is that he had even more money. So Hearst Castle is opulence with a capital O. Amazing place. Especially when you consider that, it's amazing in light of, the 21st century, right? That over-the-top luxury. But he was doing this in the 1920s, 30s, and 40s. So, things were way more primitive, but he had indoor heated swimming pool and everything else. It's just amazing. Not the type of conspicuous consumption that I'm an advocate of, but it was... I think that was kind of like the last gasp of the Gilded Age. If you're not familiar, the Gilded Age was that time in the late 19th century, in the very early 20th century, where the rich were really, really over the top rich, and they lived life as conspicuously as possible. Really crazy over the top. And I think in some ways we're kind of seeing a return to that, which is remarkable because back in those days, people could have that type of money because there wasn't anything like an income tax or anything like that, right? We didn't have that yet. So you got your money, you got to keep it. And so they were able to amass huge amounts of wealth. Nothing slowed them down. So in this day and age, we have income tax, and it gets pretty hefty the more money you make. Now, if you have a good accountant, and if you have money, you probably do, you can find a bazillion different ways to reduce your taxes. In some cases, wipe out your taxes. and in some cases even get money back and you didn't pay taxes. But that's a completely another story for a completely different time. Anyhow, my point is maybe we're in a new Gilded Age, and I mean, it's great if you're the one living in the gilded houses, but for the rest of us, not so much. Well, I mean, not many people watch the channel anyway, but I certainly don't think that this is the type of channel that rich people are likely to tune into. If they wanted to see something like this, they just hire somebody like me on staff and just say, hey, go build stuff and I'll poke my head in every once in a while, see how you're doing. Right. I mean, so when Bill Gates built his house here in the Seattle area, specifically in Bellevue, and specifically, I don't know, the neighborhood's called Medina. I don't know if it's actually its own city, though I can pretty much tell you that the people who live there will tell you it's its own city, because, you know, it's very exclusive. So I'm sure they make a big deal out of, oh, I don't live in Bellevue, I live in Medina. But the point is that when Bill Gates made that place, of course, at the time he was president and CEO of Microsoft, so he wanted to also build something that could be used for Microsoft, right? To house large events and stuff. So when he bought the property, he actually bought 4 properties, right? 4 properties all located next to each other. And then he tore down all the structures that were on those properties and he built completely new campus, is really what he did. And of course, with all that construction going on, it was a real hassle for the neighborhood. So what he did was he paid the mortgage payments or rental payments for the whole entire neighborhood during the construction, kind of his way saying, you know, thank you for your patience while we're building this. Anyway, so he built it. Now his house, and I put that word in quotes, had a complete full staff. And again, this is like something out of the Gilded Age, right? Because in the Gilded Age, you would have not a cook, you have a cooking staff. You had a waiting staff. You had a housekeeping staff, right? You'd have 20, 30, 40 people on your payroll living in your house serving you. And that's kind of what his campus was. And what reminded me of all this is the idea of having somebody, hiring somebody to play games with or something. I remember one time looking, and they were hiring for a network manager for Gates' house, right? I mean, it's like, where do you work? I work at Bill Gates' house. What do you do? I'm a network administrator or a manager. And it's like, wow. And I'm sure, I mean, it's not just Bill Gates. I'm sure other people have, you know, they're in the crazy rich category, have, you know, staffs. I mean, we know about like entourages, right? You got your social media secretary and your regular secretary and, you know, a driver or bodyguards. But this goes way beyond that, right? And if you watch shows like, you know, there's a show called Gilded Age, which is exactly about this time. And if Downton Abbey is another example, because it's the fading of that era, right? But it starts off very much in that era. I didn't mean to do that twice. That's interesting. I used the spell, and the spell acted like it had the excavation mod on it. So let's see if we can do that again. Okay, so I do. Oh, okay, let's get to a spot where I can test this properly. Anyway, oh boy. So, like in England they call him a valet. In the U.S. we call him a valet. And for us, valets are guys who park your car. But in Britain, a valet would be like your manservant, right? And he would basically like take care of all your clothes and make sure your stuff's laid out, help you put it on. I mean, clothes, fancy clothes, especially in those days, they had a lot of weird buttons and stuff in different places. You know, cufflinks. If you ever tried to put on cufflinks by yourself, it is it's a mess, right? It's challenging. So you know, you had your valet who would help you get dressed, right? And you know, sometimes I guess we're kind of speaking to maybe the characters of the peoples involved. If they didn't have their valet or their lady's maid, if you're a woman, this person wasn't able to take care of themselves, couldn't do their hair, couldn't get dressed properly, didn't know what to do with themselves. That's kind of a sad statement. You know, I get on my girls because one of them can't even make a sandwich. The other one's actually a pretty accomplished baker, and she's now starting to move into proper cooking. But the other isn't. And in fact, she usually convinces her sister to make something for her. But I'm like, you can't. You don't want to be dependent on somebody else for your basics, right? You know, because then, like, if you can't take care of yourself, then you're going to immediately hook up with somebody who can take care of you, and it might be just so they can take care of you, not because they're the right person. So, having independence gives you freedom, a lot of freedom. Look at all this stuff. And of course, the snow situation is just getting worse and worse because it's falling out of the sky faster than I can dig it up. Yep, day 4 of early spring, so... Works a lot faster when I don't have to deal with the snow. Well, that sucks. I'm really pushing the limits on this backpack. Anyway. A lot less dirt at this level. Except it appears that way. It's just that the snow's covering it. It's like, oh, well, that sucks. Now you can see that we often hit things like coal and stuff that give experience, and that's enough to keep my pick almost healed without any extra effort on my part, which is kind of cool. See, it's completely healed now. Trying to figure out where the edge of the where I need to dig is. Okay. We can start filling this in behind us to buy me some inventory space as well. And is that it? Is that the end of the snow? Nope, it's still snowing. I thought the change in sound effects meant an improvement. Well, it did. Never mind. Never mind. Ah, the sun feels good. Yeah, I don't need that. So let me grab some extra dirt. I don't want to pick up those hollow logs. So I will box them in. And now we're finally getting somewhere on snow removal. Thank goodness. Got some granite. Got some andesite. You know, I haven't seen any wandering traders this episode, which is pretty weird because they're usually like underfoot all the time. Sometimes more than one. And of course, the Let's Do series adds its own versions of wandering traders. I haven't seen any of those this episode. And that's weird because we spend a lot of time out here in the yard where they usually have a tendency to... Oops. Where they usually have a tendency to hang out. I need more dirt already? Okay. Okay, now... Oh, that's not good. Put a mage light in there to keep it thawed out. I thought I already done that, but apparently not. Or maybe when I was harvesting the carrots, I accidentally killed them. Those mage lights are real easy to destroy. Let's go put a lot of stuff away. I think I've upgraded the cobble and dirt drawers to hold more than the default. Otherwise, I'll need to do that, but let's see how it works. Yeah, so cobblestone hasn't been upgraded, but dirt sure has, so that's good. What else? Let's get the rest of the dirt. And it's not upgraded, but this should still fit. This other stuff, let's see. Go upstairs. I think I have wood, right? Yep. We'll start filling this out here shortly. And I didn't really use any of this episode. I didn't get as far as I thought it would. I mean, I got way further than I normally would. That's great, but not as far as I kind of hoped I would. Now, one of the things that I've been thinking about is doing an episode where I kind of go over the castle plan as it is now. So there probably would be little to no actual play in that episode. It's just me explaining to you the method behind my madness. And I'd like to hear if you guys would be interested in something like that as an episode. Or I gotta work on the plan anyway. I might just do that as a live stream as I'm working on it. Talk through what I'm thinking and how I'm considering my options. But let me know if that would be interesting to you as well. So we got a bunch of the source berries, which we'll plant. So you want to leave. Since these things have thorns, you don't want to make the roads too thick. So I make it so I can access every road directly. You have to be careful walking between these rows because they poke the dog snot out of you. But the levels are cranking up, so. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, I was just zoning out there thinking about what to grow next and how big these fields were. That's not what I meant to do. In fact, let me kill that off. Put the spell book back where it goes. And we'll put a mage light there, because that's where the corner of the field's supposed to be. The mage lights, besides thawing ice, they also help melt snow, so... And I'm using them to mark distance, so... I don't know how... These were probably broken by wandering traders and llamas back in the day. Anyhow, I'm just thinking about what to grow next. We eventually wanted to be able to grow all the different archwood trees and more foodstuffs, but we put a pretty hefty dent into it today, and I'm pretty happy with that. And hopefully you enjoyed our time together today, and I appreciate you being here. Always appreciate you being here. So I hope that you'll join us next time. And in the meanwhile, I hope this finds you and yours in good health, good spirits, and perhaps a touch of good fortune. Cheers.